All right, we just had a lunch break, and I'm going to do the best I can. I got some brothers here that were in the courtroom as well, and we're going to do the best I can to recollect what just happened. The first thing is, it's nothing but reading the entire, I would say, late morning, which was the last 2 hours or so, was nothing but Scott Snyder reading. It was like Tiffany Hope Eggers, read document 2, or read document paragraph so-and-so, and he would just, it's just an onslaught of boring document reading by Scott Snyder. It's just incredible. Also, regarding the tassel, we wanted to confirm, we mentioned that the flag outside the courtroom has no gold fringe. The flag inside the courtroom does have the gold fringe. And then we had a question whether the flag outside had the gold tassel, because we do have the gold tassel on the one on the inside of the courtroom. My brother Gerald did confirm that there's a gold tassel. Now, I don't know what the gold tassel means, but we just wanted to the flag on the outside does indeed have the gold tassel, but not the gold fringe. It's attached at the pole at the top of the flag, and okay, it runs, all the way down. All the way down? Okay, so we did confirm that. Google. Okay, so man, you guys need to know how much our federal government has invaded our privacy. Scott Snyder, who's on a mission, right, has made it his life, and I keep mentioning this over and over again, but it needs to be repeated. Just like in Victor Hugo Les Miserables, there's that Inspector Javier that was after John Van Jol, or whatever the name is. Scott Snyder has made it his life's mission to go after Ken Hovind, and he is like, I don't know, if not 50% more of the time on the witness stand testifying against Ken Hovind, and he's like just the main guy. And this last 2 hours was all Scott Snyder reading documents. But I want to say this: the IRS petitioned Google for like Eric Hovind's email and Marlissa Hovind's email, and so you got Scott Snyder reading Eric Hovind and Marlissa Hovind's email in front of the whole court. It's a pornographic, just a terrible, pornographic, horrific invasion of privacy. I mean, who the heck does IRS Scott Snyder think he does it to petition Google for all these private emails and read them in a public courtroom like that? If I was on the jury, I was like, what the heck is going on? You petitioning Google for all these private emails. That means to tell me that all of our emails aren't private either, and the government can look at them anytime they want. And just at the ending of Scott Snyder's testimony, she said, well, did you petition for the phone records too? And Scott Snyder said, yeah, we got the phone records. It's like, what? You got their emails, their phones. Not only are they monitoring everything Ken Hovind does in prison, but they can monitor everything his children do. This is an absurd, horrific instance of invasion of privacy. I want to make this point too, and I want to give my other brothers a chance to say what if they remember anything as well. But earlier we said that during this 2 hours of reading, Scott Snyder did read that the penalty for mail fraud could be up to 20 years because I think he was reading something from Ken Hovind. Well, it sounds like, oh, good. Your initial reaction might be, oh, good. Well, the jury is going to know that the penalty for mail fraud is too. Guys, he read it in the middle of a 2 hour boring read. I mean, everybody's trying to stay awake. There was one guy beside me that went to sleep, and you had this court officer come up and very gruff, like, wake up, and so it's like it's buried in 2 hours of boring testimony. There's no way they're going to remember anything like that. And what's the critical point here is that the defense attorneys are not allowed to make the point in a very dramatic way. The penalty for mail fraud is 20 years, and really drive it home in their brains. And since it was buried in 2 hours worth of testimony, I doubt they'll even remember that sentence being read. What else, guys? Any other important points from the last 2 hours, or anything from this morning? Any experiences you want to remember? You said you might have had an experience from a gruff court officer.
Yeah, that's the first day in court for me. So I was going to see with the federal government employees. So the first thing in the door, I pull out a transportation work identifications card, which is a federal ID card issued by the federal government. The guy would not let me use that. He did not know what it was.
Wow. So this is a properly federal government ID, and he didn't know what it was.
He didn't know what it's called. TWIC.
Yeah.
We use that. It's
wow,
a federal identification card for workers.
Wow.
Plus, when I get in the courtroom, the office of the court, we sat down, and my son and I brought the Bibles in, and he said we could not open them.
He's making sure you cannot open your Bibles.
That's right. He recognized I wasn't in the court previously. So then from that on, so I said, well, what is? He said that's a.
Okay.
local rule. So I said, could you produce that in writing? And he said, what are you, challenging me? So I was fixing to get thrown out, so I stopped.
Well, I just wanted to reiterate what this gentleman said. He brought his Bible in. A court officer said, you cannot open that Bible in the courtroom. And he just asked a simple question, is that a local rule? Or, you know, and the guy said, are you challenging me? It's like, you know, almost as if you want to go push this further. It's almost like he was trying to intimidate you or possibly throw you out of the court if you
couldn't answer if it was in writing or not.
Right, he could not answer if it was in writing. So we just got a crazy situation going down here, folks, and I can't believe that they've flown in. You know, how much money are they spending in flying all these witnesses and Scott Schneider being allowed to sit at the prosecution table? There was one instance I can remember, guys.
She's leading straight into Scott Schneider.
Oh, yeah.
Leading, not any question.
Right.
She's just leading into him.
Yep.
I would object to that.
Yeah, amen. The defense should be objecting left and right, and it's almost like you know, just call it the Scott Schneider can read session, because that's all he's doing is just reading, and it's everybody trying to stay awake. It's almost like they're just boring you to death with like onslaught of irrelevant facts. But there was one thing where they went to the bar, and when the defense counsel and the prosecutor go to the bar to have a little powwow with the judge, they play this music for everybody, and they say that so that we can't hear what they're talking about. But you know, we're told not to whisper. Another brother told me he was told not to whisper during the music. So they're very controlling in that courtroom. Every aspect of everything is controlled. That's about all I can remember. I did see Eric Hovind in here today, so I do expect him to testify. If I was Eric Hovind, I'd be mad they got all my emails. That's my private emails. What are you doing looking at those? I mean, this country, we're all in a big prison camp, you know, because they just monitor everywhere we go, all of our emails. They got our voicemails. It's absolutely absurd, the lack of privacy, not only for Ken Hovind, but for us. And any other major points?
Well, we might mention how many of Ken supporters are in the courtroom.
Oh, right.
Looked like there was more to this afternoon or in the pre-noon session than I've seen in there since the trial began.
Yep.
I would say there's probably was 20 people in there. Would you say?
Yeah. I would say maybe that, yeah.
20,
some new faces too, yeah. So it's good. I think as we go into next week when Ken Hovind starts getting his defense, and I'm asking you guys, and you guys, you know, you got to feel convicted in your heart. But when Ken Hovind starts giving his defense, if you guys live locally, man, you need to show up and show some support for Ken Hovind.
We need to overflow.
Yeah, we need to overflow the courtroom. That would make a huge statement to the jury, right? And we need to just flood that courtroom with supporters, especially when Ken Hovind gives his defense. And you guys say, well, you know, I don't know how important it is. Hey, Ken Hovind is looking at life in prison, folks. He's already spent 8 years in prison. You can't, like, you know, if you live locally, if you live
within 500 miles,
just come down here and flood this courtroom, and that would make an overwhelming statement to the judge. And I'm just asking you guys, you know, that would be a nice gesture for Ken Hovind when he really needs us the most. And we praise God that God will work a mighty miracle. He is working a mighty miracle. We're going to give God all the glory. And when Ken Hovind walks out of this prison, people will be forced to say God did that. And we're going to give God all the glory. And I'm trying to think of anything else that I need to remember to say. But I would say just Scott Schneider on that witness stand is terrible. He was doing all the reading, and that's all I can remember. We're going to go to lunch, and we're going to get back in there for our, I think it'd pick up around 1:15 or so.
Yeah, and it'll probably be Eric Hovind.
Probably be Eric Hovind that gives a testimony, and pray for Eric Hovind. If you're listening to this, pray for Eric Hovind. He's got a lot of pressure on him. Imagine being not only Ken Hovind's son and the pressure that comes with that, but now the prosecutor's going to be going after him and has got all his emails and his voicemails, and they're going to use anything they can to try to draw a distinction or division between him and his dad. And these guys are evil, satanic, wicked people, and they need to be held accountable for what they're doing in this situation. But that's what I got to say. God bless everyone, and please keep Ken Hovind, his family, and Paul Hansen in your prayers. And you guys, that's all I got for now. God bless.